Welcome to Mental Health Matters, the show where we take a deep dive into understanding all things mental health and well-being. My name is Dr. Audrey Tang, my co-host is Judith Crosier, and today we are talking about dance, mindfulness and well-being. Dance. Do you like dance? Are you a dancer, or are you kind of, I might watch it? What are you?
Oh my gosh, I love it. Dancing was my life in my 20s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I loved it. And I don't do it anymore. And someone asked me the other day, why not? And I don't know, because I've got out of the habit of doing it. But I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And I was really, I was young and I was fit, and I was probably fit because I was dancing. And so maybe I need to do it again. But yeah, it makes you feel free, I think.
I agree with you. And it's funny because our producer asked on our social media recently about which form of art do you like the most. And I know that I'm probably best at drama and performance, but I love dance. I love dancing. I love the expression you get when you're moving to music. I like the music as well.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
It does.
And that's the one thing that can always make me feel better. So if I'm feeling down, I'm not going to go off and do a soliloquy from Shakespeare to make myself feel good. But I'm going to put on a piece of music that I love and then just
dance around the kitchen.
Yes!
Exactly. So it doesn't have to be a prescribed dance, does it? It can just be a way of expressing yourself in private.
Yes.
Do you prefer dancing to acting and directing?
It's such a good question. I probably, if I was really, really honest, and I have thought about this, I probably do, actually, because the benefits when I dance come to me straight away.
Yes.
When you direct, you see it and it's beautiful and it's out there and you go, oh, no, I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
Or when you act, it's in that moment, but there's a lot of pressure that kind of goes into that. When you put on a piece of music and dance, you feel good straight away.
It's instant. It's a very easy, cheap, you can do it anywhere, pretty much.
Yes, you can even dance to the song that's going on in your head.
Yeah, you can.
Do you have any feel-good, people have those playlists, feel-good music. Do you have any particular...
Yeah, I love Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison. That really always gets you dancing. There's quite a few different songs. Loads of songs by OMD, Erasure. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of feel good songs. I could probably think of a few and name them all, but off the top of my head, no. But yeah, there's loads of songs. It's
great. It's just a good beat to it, and I think dancing and music are quite interlinked as well for feeling good. And I know research has shown that certain vibes of music or certain vibrations, certain hertz frequencies of music can make us feel better and so on. But today's guest, Martina Kornett, she's going to be talking about dancing and well-being, not just because professional dancers need some well-being support, because I think there's a lot of pressure that goes
a huge amount of pressure
on, but actually dance as a form of therapy and as a form of mindfulness, that plays a huge role in keeping us as healthy and as fit as something like yoga might do. And so let's just pull it back for 1 second about the pressures of dance. So we've talked about the fun bits, but no one's judging us. We're not in a competition or anything like that.
No, not anymore. Those days have gone.
Yeah. So let's go back to competition days. Was there a lot of pressure? Because I'm just trying to think about with our guest, she deals with professional ballroom dancers. Was there a lot of pressure with competitions and things?
I mean, not too much because I didn't do it professionally. It was only ever for fun, if you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you get the nerves before you go on. Yeah. But because I also danced with a partner, so whether it was ballroom, which I did, or Sarok, which was the bigger part of my life, that you have a partner, and so cool, you want to do well for your partner, and they feel the same. Yeah,
with partnerships as well, because in this particular case, our guest, I'm just so excited. She works with her husband. And they both dance together as well. Is there an added pressure on well-being when you've got a partner? Because is it that guilt if you mess up, or is there blame in there as well?
I mean, yeah, that can come into it. The partner I had when I danced to rock, we danced in London, and so I had the same partner all the time. And yeah, he was quite tough. He was a bit like the Christopher Dean,
Yes.
He was the driving force. And that comes into it. You can get gripey if somebody does something wrong, but you overcome it, because otherwise the partnership fails and it doesn't work.
Yes.
So
yeah,
there's the both sides of it, really.
So we will be unpacking a lot of the well-being issues that dancers can face, but also how Martina is dealing with those and supporting dancers through it. Now, Martina Kornett's biography is so extensive I've had to write it down. So Martina holds a master's degree in sports and education sciences. She is a former ballerina trained at the German Opera House. She's a professional ballroom dancer who represented Germany and Australia in the 10 dance. And Martina currently serves as an advisor on the Mental Wellbeing Board to the World Dance Competitors Commission. And she works with the group International Dancing Minds. She's also an organiser of the Ice Ball competition in London. I cannot wait to meet her. Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. It's a pleasure to have you here, Martina. Now, we know your background has been in ballet, in competitive ballroom, and you teach, but you also run a wellness facility for dancers specifically. Can you tell me a little bit about that, please?
Yes. So it's called IDM, International Dancing Minds, and it started in lockdown when I was talking to my colleagues and they all said, oh, we should really do something for the dancers. It was a very hard time for the dancers. We had no work, we had nothing, no competitions, no studios were open. Many dancers really fell into a deep dark hole. So we were sort of chatting and then said, you know what, we should have a platform where they can all contact us if they need help or if they need information, and so basically it all happened in mid-2020, and I do this together as a collaboration with 3 other dancers, but all qualified, accredited therapists as well. So that's important to us that we are really all fully trained and accredited, and so we thought there isn't such a thing, and we all over our career path probably had moments where we could have done with someone like that, and not everyone goes down that route. But so now it's there is a website, we're on Facebook, on Instagram, so people can quite easily contact us for anything. It doesn't matter, it can be a tiny little issue or it can be a huge problem. But we're just there. It's just a presence for the dancers.
I think this is really important because the fact that you're all qualified therapists, that's a wonderful thing in itself. But the fact that you also have an understanding of what people are going through also makes a huge difference. What have you found in terms of why people have contacted you? Do you have a certain type of question you get asked all the time, or is it just a whole range of everything?
It's probably a whole range of everything. Number one, we feel it's very hard to get through to the dancers. So they all know we're there. We try to promote it. We are even the official advisory board for the World Dance Competitors Commission. And so they all know, but there seems to be still this little stigma attached to, oh my God, am I crazy? I'm mentally unwell. And I think in dancers, we still feel that people are not so open about this and they think they're maybe weak or not. So, yes, there are people contacting us, but maybe not to the amount of people we actually thought, because we're pretty sure that everyone has any little issues. So it's a little bit difficult to get it really into the industry, because we are not just targeting the dancers, the competitors, it's also for coaches, it's for people who work in the industry, because it's a big industry. There are lots of different things attached to it, and it can be for a school, for a dance school, it can be for a theater group, because also we're open to any style of dance. It doesn't necessarily have to be just competitive dance.
Wow. Oh, so do you offer workshops and coaching? What might we expect if we came to you and said, help?
So mainly it's sort of people say they're not confident enough, they get very nervous, very anxious when it comes to performing or competing. People have body issues, they think, well, I don't look the part, there's something wrong with me, and maybe I shouldn't do this, or I'll probably get marked badly because I'm maybe a bit not looking as somebody else. So these were the things mainly, and then maybe like just personal issues as well, like health issues, family issues, financial issues. All these things can play a really big part in that you're not performing to where you want to be. No matter if you're like a pro dancer or a top professional dancer, your life is never that perfect. So
It's
so many little pieces have to be. Because I'm also trained I'm a sports scientist, so that's my actual master's degree was in sports science, and I know that every little bit in your life has to be perfect to be perfect in your sport or in your dance or in your performance. You really have to take care, and as a sports scientist, you will turn every stone. Every little bit, you will look at every aspect. Why is this person not performing to that degree? Because they have the knowledge, they have the skills, they have the body, they have the physique, they have the training, they put the time in, and still, why is it not working? So you really, yes, the mind is a huge part of it, but it's actually quite a complex.
Yes. I think that is absolutely fascinating, because so often we don't think about what am I actually concentrating on, do we? We actually just think, but I put the practice in, I put training in, I could do the flips perfectly well before, but you might not even think actually you're worrying about debt, or you're worrying about something completely different.
Exactly, that's the thing with things which go through your mind sometimes when you're not always that conscious of what's going on, because thoughts, they come, they go, but they affect you in the meantime. And you walk onto the dance floor and you think, oh my God, how's my mom today? I haven't heard from her yet. Like just simple thing like this, and this can totally throw you, and you're not focused anymore on what you're doing.
Yeah, and one of the things you use a lot in your practice is mindfulness.
That's right.
How does that help us manage some of those unwanted or intrusive thoughts?
Yeah, so with mindfulness, I mean, for me personally, I have been using this for years and years and years, because I really believe in it, because it keeps you present. It keeps you present in the now, and the focus is right here, right now, and that's all we actually have. We all have a past. We all hope we have a future. But right now, you and me, we're sitting here, and this is us, and this is now, and this is all we have. So if we can remind ourselves and learn how to bring ourselves back when we worry about something, or something happens and we're like, oh my God, and we're losing our mind, we're losing our head. Always try to come back to right now. Right now I'm sitting here, I talk to you, I'm going to have a coffee later, and everything is good. And that's where we need to get to every time.
I love it. I love this, because whilst you were talking, you brought my own focus back, because I'm there thinking, questions, what am I doing? But actually, when you were saying it, then when I focused on now, everything just, the energy, the colours almost got brighter. It was lovely. You see, it works. It works right here. But of course, how easy do you find it to get people to engage in mindfulness practice? Now, we're not just talking about getting people engaged with the service, but once they're in, is it a bit like, oh, I come to your workshop and it's great whilst I'm there, but then I go home and then I don't...
Yeah, they find it hard sometimes. And it's not magic. I'm not saying it's a magic formula for anything. It requires work. It requires practice. The same practice we put in our body. We go to the gym, we go running, we do dancing. What do we do for our mind, for our mental well-being? And I always want to call it that. I never actually mention mental health, because that sort of implies that you're not healthy and your mind is not healthy. And who wants that? Nobody. But well-being is something positive. It's a positive term. And we all think, oh, well-being, yeah, I go to a mental well-being workshop.
Yes, and you're right, because health feels very static. Mental health, you have it or you don't have it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well-being is dynamic, it's fluid,
It's
because
a
you're
process.
being
Yes.
it. And I think that's absolutely lovely. Well, Martina is going to stay with us, but we are moving on to our resident expert, Dr. Helen McCarthy, to give us some tips on mindfulness when it comes to managing our appetite.
Each time you eat a new food, your appetite refreshes. Have you ever lost interest in your main course but then perked up when dessert arrived? At an Italian feast where 14 pasta dishes were served to a group of leading researchers on appetite, hardly anyone got past the 7th course. Most of them left the table, abandoned the food, ignored the other courses and just chatted over drinks. But Professor Barbara Rolls, who was at that feast, describes how when dessert appeared, everybody was suddenly interested again and they sat down and tucked in. She uses this example to describe taste-specific satiety. This video is about how you can use knowledge of taste-specific satiety to adjust the amount you eat. And that's useful for weight loss or weight gain. And you can use this knowledge also to increase the amount of pleasure you get from less food. In this video, I'll explain how taste-specific satiety works and why it's thought to have evolved so that you can understand your appetite system a bit better. I'll describe the effect of taste-specific satiety on the amount we eat so that you can understand the impact of the number of items on your plate on the amount you actually consume. And then we'll look at a real-life situation where this knowledge can be particularly helpful in practice. What is taste-specific satiety? It refers to the decrease in the pleasantness of food that you're actually eating, whilst the pleasantness of foods you haven't been eating remains the same. In other words, the food that you're actually eating becomes increasingly less appealing as you keep eating it. It's one of the mechanisms that is thought to help us regulate how much we eat. And it generalises to other similar foods. So sweet foods affect the appeal of other sweet foods. And if you're eating salty foods, that will affect the relative appeal of other salty snacks. It's thought that taste-specific satiety evolved so that we seek out a greater variety of foods, and in that we ensure a greater intake of different nutrients. Food variety significantly increases consumption. Professor Rolls, that I mentioned earlier, found in the lab that when people given sandwiches with 4 different types of filling, they ate 1/3 more than if they were just given sandwiches with their very favourite type of filling. That's quite a difference, just because there was more variety. Perhaps the situation where this knowledge is most useful is at a buffet. So you've got a spread of lots of different dishes in front of you. If you keep taste-specific satiety in mind, you'll know that the more different things that you put on your plate, the more you are likely to eat. So if you're wanting to lose weight, then maybe putting, say, your 4 favourite items from the buffet is going to help you eat less than if you sample, say, 8 different things. This way, you won't be refreshing your appetite so often and you'll feel satisfied with less food. If you start feeling worried about FOMO, a fear of missing out, remember that because of taste-specific satiety, as we eat successive mouthfuls, the food is less tasty anyway. It means diminishing returns because the food you're eating gets less and less tasty. It may be helpful to remember that when you downsize a meal, the part that you're keeping is the tastiest. If you'd kept on eating, the rest of it would have been relatively less tasty. I just want to say that if you're suffering from an eating disorder, then it's important to talk over whether this sort of insight and knowledge is going to be helpful to you or not. This would be helpful to talk to your doctor or other healthcare professional about. If you found this video useful and you'd like to develop greater insights into the psychology of eating and appetite and how that can help you develop a better relationship with food, my online course could really help you. The details of the course and the link are in the description below. Please remember to like, subscribe and share this video with anybody you think might be interested. My next video shares another technique to help you to reduce the amount you eat without reducing the overall pleasure you get from food.
Welcome back to the show. Now, Martina, you run International Dancing Minds, which is absolutely fantastic, and it really supports dancers, coaches, people with dance schools, anyone involved in the dance space to come and really work on their mental well-being. But you're also part of the Wellbeing Advisory Board for competitive dance. What sort of issues do you address there?
Well, with the top professionals or the top competitors, it's like in any other sport. So, I mean, sports psychology and even mindful performance enhancement training. I mean, you have maybe different issues because they are really operating on a different level. Like if you think the top tennis players, the top team sports, they all have psychologists now, sports psychologists. And on our team in the IDM, we have different qualifications. So we have someone who is only a sports psychologist, we have a psychotherapist, we have an executive coach, and then myself, and I'm sort of the crossover of it all. I'm a sports scientist. I did a lot of sports psychology within that, and then I'm a counselor. I trained a counselor.
Yes.
And that kind of covers, hopefully, all the issues which can arise.
Yeah. I mean, do you mind me asking, what sort of things do people raise in these?
Well, I mean, it can be in the partnership. There can be
Right.
issues, so if there are communication problems within the
Right.
partnership, maybe also communication problems with their coaches, pressures they feel under because they have sponsors. Everyone has their own goals. We want to achieve them. We pressure ourselves very much, very often, too much sometimes. So you have, again, a whole variety of things which could keep you from actually getting where you want to be with your performance level.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because almost when you start off as an amateur and you're enjoying it and that's great, and then you want to get a bit more serious, everyone, or at least, okay, I think the only thing you worry about is competition, but then you just said sponsors, the pressure we put on ourselves, probably family as well, who have sacrificed a lot. That's incredible pressure that people are operating under.
There can be. I mean, and I think in all performing arts and in the sports, you have it. It's just a matter of how you deal with it. And if you feel overwhelmed possibly with the situation, not always, but at times, it's no harm in coming to someone who will just help you dealing and find mechanisms which help you to just deal better with the stressful situation. And performance, competitions, shows, it can be scary at times. Yeah. There are lots of factors you can't control. You can have your checklist. Yes, I tested the floor. My dress fits. My partner is here. Yeah, the basics are in place, but there can still be all sorts of things you don't expect.
Yes.
And there's always that slight unnervy feeling when you have a big performance coming up. So how do you deal with it? You might stand in the corner and pray, or you might breathe, or whatever works for you, but you have to find it. And if you don't know what it is, it's better to have someone who helps you.
I love that. And you're absolutely right. That's what you're doing. You're helping people find their way.
It's just that.
Now, one of the issues that's come up in the UK, Shirley Ballas recently talked about bullying in the dance world. Does that happen? I mean, how does it manifest?
Bullying, okay, it's a very strong word. Yes, possibly. I can't say that ever happened to me in my time. And I'm ballet trained. In ballet, actually, more so. The ballet world is quite harsh. And also your teachers in the ballet can be a little bit strong on you when it comes to weight, height. Things you can't even sometimes control when you're a growing person and you're a teenager. Of course, we all put on a little weight and this and that, and life changes, body changes, and in our world, I don't know, bullying, I would find that very strong word, but of course there is a certain, it's a competitive industry, and it's like in any other work, maybe work environment. You always have that. You have people who are the ones who push, and the others who just want to actually have their job and be quiet. And you feel maybe harassed by someone, or again, even that is in your mind. Sometimes you maybe imagine someone. So I wouldn't call it that, but there can be things happening, and it's not all just happy. We're all a big family, maybe at the after party, but on the dance floor, it's not always just like that.
I think it's good to know, and it's good to be aware of that.
Yes.
Relating to that, and I guess people being harsh, your company itself is called International Dancing Minds. You work with Freedom to Dance as well. When it comes to individuals who enjoy dancing, you are talking about different ages, different cultures, different styles of dance, different body types. There is no set standard for who can be a dancer, is there?
No, and even still, each industry or each style of dance probably has sort of an ideal. How does a Latin dancer look like? How does a ballroom dancer look like? A ballet dancer? So there are certain ideals we do try to, or maybe it's just how does the current world champion look like? Oh, I want to look like her because she's winning. So yes, there are these pressures as well. And then it's the social media, and people post and post and post, and you have videos and photos, and everything is photoshopped and enhanced, and and I mean, it's a minefield, really, but so is life. So in a way, dance world is life in a nutshell. Everything which happens in real life happens in our world, and to everyone. There's no one who just walks through it unharmed and has never had any problems with anything. I don't believe it.
I agree with you, and I think that's such a powerful statement there. So, and I know we're going to talk about some techniques that you use a little bit later, but if you could give our viewers one little technique that you could use if they are maybe a bit too overwhelmed with what they're seeing on social media, what their teachers are telling them, what they believe the expectations should be, what can we do?
I would always kind of try to come back to myself. So I find personally, I believe in meditation, and I also offer something to my clients, which I call mindful body work. So we're just not striving, we're not pushing, it's not an exercise, but we're on the mat, or we're standing, or we're sitting, and we're doing certain moves. We combine it with the breath, and just try to let all of this be out there and just come back to here. And that's for me, a very powerful tool to just keep your own sanity in a crazy world.
It's just beautiful. We're going to come back with more tips and tools from Martina, but now just over to our charity partner, Click Arts Foundation.
A world without the arts is one without confidence, creativity and community, and yet funding has been reduced every year. Arts programmes have been shown to benefit social inclusion and well-being, particularly for marginalised groups, with projects fostering a sense of belonging, cultivating mutual understanding, and breaking down social barriers and isolation. Participation in arts programmes can help boost confidence and open doors to opportunities that may otherwise be inaccessible. Click Arts Foundation offers grants up to £2,000 for grassroots arts projects twice a year, with our community arts experience trustees meticulously scoring each project on impact and sustainability. To date, we have supported craft and visual arts projects, dance, drumming for well-being, and preservation of heritage and culture. If you share our passion, not just for maintaining the arts themselves, but contributing to the many benefits it can bring, please consider making a donation to Click Arts Foundation registered charity.
Greetings
Greetings, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli, host of Energize You TV, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Go to Fresh Takes right here on E360 and get Reiki-fied and energized today.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. I'm here with Martina Kornett, who runs what is part of International Dancing Minds, but also she's a therapist, a sports psychologist. You do so many incredible things, and she is going to give us some top tips for getting a little bit more active.
Yes.
Even if we're quite sedentary. So I'm happy to follow your lead with any exercises or any tips and tools you can give me.
Okay, I mean, obviously there is a range of things you can do, and you can do it as simple or as complex as you need it, because it depends on if you're already a super sports personality or you just us. So you can do it sitting, you can do it standing, you can roll out your yoga mat, you can lie in the garden on the grass, or whatever makes you feel good. Right now we're sitting, so I assume we're sitting. So I would sit a little bit more on the edge of my chair right now, and possibly I don't want to knock you out, but I need these arms.
Okay, I'll sit back then for this.
So just a simple thing, you can always connect with your breath. Why the breath? Why is everyone always saying the breath? Because we are breathing now, and we need to breathe in every moment in our life, because that's all we have to stay alive. So the breath is the most obvious thing. We know we're connecting with the presence, and that's why we always say we connect with our breath. So we're sitting, maybe try to keep your spine nice and long, so you have like the base of your spine and top of your head sitting nice and straight. So now what we do is very internal, so I don't know how much we can actually see that. But if you think from your pelvis, you're just turning your upper torso, and you feel like you're spiraling this up to the corner there behind you. And then you just bring it back. And this is just what the body does at the moment. I bring the breath in a minute. So you just go, you kind of pick it up internally through your pelvis, and you just spiral it up and go. Yeah, so when we breathe, obviously we do it to both sides, and you're breathing in as you do that, and then out as you come back to the center. And then you go and out, and I do the other side again. And so that's just a super simple one. It's very internal, but it does play with your spine. It gives that spirally feeling internally, so you get actually even a little bit more mobility into your inner center, into your spine, and it's a very internal action. Obviously you can do it a lot bigger. We can put the arms forward, one on the knee, and then just open and rotate as far as you can and bring it back. And again, I'm breathing in and out. And I can even breathe in and up and over and come back down. So you do that on both arms. That's is also a really simple thing to do. It gives you nice rotation through the upper torso, frees up your shoulder blades, your shoulders, and just gives you a bit of mobility there. And also we can do just a wave down, so we can just roll the spine and let the head hang, and then you roll back from the base until you come back up sitting. So that we can do standing as well, but sitting is good. You just let it all go down, and then you start from the base of the spine and roll yourself back up. So if that's all the time you have, a couple of minutes on your office chair or on the train, if it's not busy, or wherever you are in your living room, on your that's just something you can always do, and it takes a few minutes, but it brings you into right now, right here. Of course, you can be very elaborate, have a whole hour of mindful body work, then you feel even better afterwards. But there's nothing too small to make a start with something.
Yes, and I love this because this is very quick. And how many times would you say to do that?
Once a day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so, and it
Few
feels so
minutes.
nice because when you're doing the stretches around, that's a really nice stretch actually in the morning. And then the hanging of the head, I know it's just dropping my head. It's a really lovely kind of relaxation.
It's just for the upper body, for the we would work with the feet and the legs and the hips, especially the hips. So if I'm allowed to stand up,
absolutely.
I would say the hips as well, because obviously many people feel they get really stiff here.
Yes.
Because we're sitting a lot or we're standing. Not everyone gets the time to exercise as much as we wish. So if you just need to loosen your hips, I would just put my hands in the hips and I would literally just sway. So you're standing on both feet, but you just sway and just let this bottom bit of your spine go out to the side. So that's already loosening up the lower spine and the hips, and then you can just and it's super easy, just rotate as well under the body. You keep the shoulders totally still. You just do this down here and you do it in both directions. That is really nice to loosen up all the tension you have around here. If you want to do a bit more, you can do what we call the hip hinges. And that's also nice with the breath because you go all the way down. You can still have the hands here. So you just go basically forward and down as you are, breathing out. And come straight back up. So the hip is designed to have that movement. It's like a hinge on the door. That's all the hip joint actually does. Go as far as you can. And then come back up. You're breathing out on the way down and then in. So that's nice. And then you feel already also here a lot less tensed. Shoulders are another really big where we keep all the tension. We're stressed, we're cold, we're this. Everything happens up here. So then I would always say just simple things like just rolling the shoulders. You can do back and forward. What I like to do in the winter when my whole body feels cold and I need to get the whole body working, I go into my knees a little and then I just use the shoulders and the legs, and then you can do that really slowly, or you can do it really vigorously, but it actually involves the whole body. You're standing on the spot, you're not exercising, but you just sort of get that feeling. So that's also a nice thing. And then you can do breathing exercises like just so, like a mountain pose. I'm always stealing some things from the yoga. And you can just breathe in and bring the hands together and breathe out and then bring the arms down. So there are so many little variations you can do without a big fuss. It's just something you do somewhere in a corner where no one's looking.
I love it. I love it. They're so easy and they do make you feel so good. So if you've tried any of these this week, do let us know in the comments. Now we are going to move on to our Stroop Test Challenge because it's a challenge we put all of our experts through. And we like challenging our therapists. Right, Martina, this is the Stroop Test Challenge we give to all of our experts. There are 20 colours that I'm going to show you. The colour is written in a different colour. And what you have to do is tell me the colour that you see, not the word that's written. So, for example, if you see the word blue and it's written in green, you have to tell me green, not the word that's written down. The reason why this test works is because so often we split our attention in too many different ways. We're not mindful, and this is a real focus test, but also we find it a lot quicker in our brains to read the word than we do actually see the colours.
Okay, so I won't bother reading anything.
So just colours. For viewers at home, we do have a green screen, which means that our yellow and our green may look a little bit strange to you. So let's bear with us. So let's start the time and start the test.
Red, green, yellow, blue, red, pink, black, green, blue, pink, red, black, blue, pink, red, yellow, no, green, blue, yellow.
Well done.
There was the one.
There was a little one in there. I'm going to give that to you, but I'm going to knock 3 seconds off the time for it because you did correct yourself.
30.67.
Oh, 30.67. I'm going to give you the extra 3 seconds in there. So you go to the top of the leaderboard, 30.67. So very well done to you there. You go in there. Well done. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Martina.
My
It's
pleasure.
been such a pleasure chatting with you. And please do practice any of those tips that Martina's given us physically to just keep our bodies active. And do look up her work. It is with the show notes at the end of the show. For today's Business Boost, I thought I would give you some mindfulness practices that you can do at your desk and they don't take very long at all. The very first one is a gratitude stretch, and this is really good for your posture. So just stretch out your arms and think about one thing that you're grateful to have in your life. It might be your job, it might be your house, car, whatever it is. Pet is allowed as well. Stretch out your legs and think about one person you're grateful for in your life, and then just give yourself a bit of a shake and think about one thing you're looking forward to doing today, or if you're doing it at the end of the day, you can think about one thing you've really enjoyed today. If you do this enough times, A, it's all about practicing gratitude very quickly without having to formally write things down. B, it helps us work on our posture because it gives us a chance to shake out, and we do sit hunched over our desks quite a lot. And C, most importantly, and this is what I love as a psychologist, if you do that enough times, you will notice some people always pop up in your gratitude stretch and other people don't. So what you can then do is actively go and spend time and make time for those people who pop up all the time, which means that when the others come along, you can quite legitimately tell them, I'm so sorry, I'm too busy at the moment. So that's how the gratitude stretch can work. Another thing that I'd like you to practice when it comes to a little bit of mindfulness is a personal show reel. And this is a lovely little meditation. It's not something I'm going to take you through all the way now, but it is a visualization where you think about the amazing things you've done and you pick out one thing that you've done in the last lifetime, one thing that really means something to you. And then you bring it forward and you think about one thing that's been really amazing that you've done in the last year. You bring that forward again and you think about one thing that's been really amazing that you've done in the last week, in the last day, in the last hour. And if you can do that, you will find that probably the last things you've done in the last hour will be really simple, really small. Maybe you smiled at someone. But actually, you recognize that those things are just as important sometimes as the big things. And when it comes to the big things, you take a moment to savor them so you recognize how far you've come as well. That's a little bit of a personal show reel visualization. The third mindfulness exercise, and this is probably one of the most important, especially if you are an entrepreneur, if you're starting a new business, but it's worth remembering if you're a leader as well. Recognize what field-based success looks like. In school, at home, you always tend to have the conventional things like a reward chart, like somebody saying to you, well done, and a pat on the head or a gold star. But in business, you don't get that sort of thing. What you might get is repeat custom. What you might get is perhaps a compliment on your Google reviews or wherever you get those reviews. Perhaps you got a bonus. Recognize what the field-based success looks like. Because if we don't do that, we can go through life quite easily thinking, well, I didn't get any form of recognition, when actually we're just looking for the wrong things. And on that, something I would like you to think about is if you get praise, please accept it. Don't just go, oh, give it to somebody else. Because I know it feels like modesty, but what that's also doing is it's not teaching you to recognize when somebody has praised you. Sometimes we push it away because it's come from somebody that we weren't hoping for, so we don't value it quite so much. And sometimes we push it away because we just are too embarrassed to hold on to it. But, and I think I've said this before in previous shows, praise is a lot harder to give than complaints. So if somebody has bothered to do it, it's like they've wrapped up this beautiful present, they've thought about what they're going to say, and they've offered it to you. So the last thing you want to do is say, oh, no, thank you. So be mindful of others as well. There's so much going on behind the sequins, behind the feathers, behind that professional front that you see. It's probably a good analogy for life.
Yes.
There's a lot going on behind the mascara.
Yeah, exactly. And all the pressure to perform well, obviously, because you're in a competition, pressure with diet and lifestyle, you know, how to live, how not to live. There's a lot going on that when you see the finished article, as it were, that you probably, you know, you wouldn't necessarily think about that.
And this is something that our guests have mentioned on our other show, Skits and Quibbles, which goes on at 8 p.m. PST, is dancers' feet. Look quite horrible. And I know my feet look horrible. I've got a bunion on one side. It's not very nice, and it's you know, getting a lot of dry skin and that kind of thing. And I know that sounds so silly, but you can get quite self-conscious about things like that as well, especially when you're on holiday and things.
Well, yes, it's something that we wouldn't think of, would we? Yeah. But if you're on your feet all the time, and especially dancing puts so much physical pressure, then yeah, that's gonna. They're not going to last forever if you put that much pressure on them all of the time.
Yeah, this is it. But yet, dancing is just, for fun, recreationally, is such a brilliant thing for our mental health.
It's fantastic.
Oh,
I really want to go back to it.
You should. What, have you come along to my burlesque class?
I was just going to ask you, because I know that you've got your burlesque class, and you know, I don't know if I kind of have the guts to do that. But I know that you have a lot of people that do join in, absolutely love it. So what do you get from it?
I love choreography, actually, and I love seeing something. It's a bit narcissistic, actually. When I see it being performed, it's yes, I did that.
But you're really good at choreography, so
it's something that, because of the music, you know, you can express it and then play with it, and I really, really love that. But one thing that I have loved the most from burlesque is so many of my girls come in and they're wearing an outfit which they bought for themselves, which they never had the guts to wear outside, and they feel they can wear it in the class. Oh wow! And they look fabulous in the outfit. It's not like it's too short or it's too sparkly. They think it is.
Yes,
but it's really not.
Outside voices telling them that.
Yeah. And it's just so lovely that I see them do this, and also to see them get, because burlesque is all about just getting a little bit more comfortable in touching your body and moving in a slightly sexy way and shimmying. But when you shimmy, you don't worry about the jiggly bits. It's not about that. And to see people really get into it, and some of the photographs that I've got from the classes as well, that could be a ballet class. You know, it's just so beautiful. Gosh. They look amazing.
I was going to say, you're portraying the picture of a safe space.
Yes.
For girls, I suppose. They're all girls in your class?
They are. We have had men, and we have done a performance for men as well. I had to watch a lot of male strippers to learn some choreography for that.
What a shame. That must have been so hard.
Oh, so difficult. But it is different to how you move when you're doing more masculine moves to how you're doing the feminine moves. But you as a dancer get a lot of joy and, again, confidence out of that, because it is a different thing that you're doing with your body.
And it kind of comes from within.
Yes.
Rather than you thinking about what you're presenting.
Exactly. So often, and it's actually a dietitian who said this. She got the quote from somewhere else. We need to treat our bodies as a vessel to explore the world, not as an object to be stared at and judged and looked at, because that's not what our bodies are there for.
No, and that's actually really powerful.
Isn't it?
Yeah. We need to be told that more often, I think.
Yes, we need to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
And, well, if that serves as your reminder today, I hope that helps. It's always so much fun to talk about all of these different topics, because mental health and well-being spans so many different things. So if you've got any topics you'd like us to discuss, please let us know. Otherwise, from Judith and myself, have a healthy and have a sassy week.